Hey guys, Vass here from Aussie Playground and welcome to another unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at the Super Decathlon from Hobby King. I've had my eye on this guy for a little while now, ever since my Piper Cup died a couple of months back, and finally I decided to pull the trigger on it and figured, hey, why not show it off on the channel and take you through some of the building steps of putting this guy together, because apparently it does not require glue, so hopefully it would be pretty easy and quick to assemble. Now you can see that I've got everything laid out on the table here, and I figured I'd take it out of the box, because the way that it came packaged up is what Hobby King have done is they've actually inverted the box so that when they ship it, it's just a plain cardboard box, and yeah, that way no one has an idea of what's actually inside and there's less chance of things going missing. Also, it comes packaged up in a bunch of foam, and it's covered up with cardboard and bubble wrap and sticky tape to everything. I mean, it's very well safe and secure, no problem about that. So actually doing an unboxing of it, it's very kind of time consuming and not really ideal, unlike some of the RCs where you might just cut a couple of zip ties and hey presto, it's out of the box. So let's take you through everything that you get, and then we'll move on to some of the build of this plane. First thing in my hand here are the stickers, and I'll very quickly show you these just up nice and close. These are all pre-cut. There aren't many stickers to put on the plane, thankfully, and as I said, they're all pre-cut, so you don't have to go around with scissors or hobby knives trying to cut around them. Everything's already done for you. You just got to peel them off and stick them on the plane. Very easy and simple. The main rear stabilizer or rudder actually has a little plastic piece on the back here which allows you to slot in a rear wheel for the plane, and it makes it steerable when it's on the ground, so you can actually taxi it out to your runway by simply turning the rudder, which is a great thing. The other rear wing here, you can see, has actually got some thin spars, some carbon fiber spars to sort of strengthen these control surfaces, giving you a little bit more precise control on the plane, which I think is good. This is something that I didn't have on the Piper Cup or the Cessna that I had as well. So great to see that coming in from Hobby King. As a matter of fact, the Train Star Exchange actually had the same thing in the rear wing, which was great. The main wings have already got the two servos installed, and the reason why they have two servos is because you have your aileron, which you can see here also has a thin carbon fiber spar to reinforce that control surface, and of course it also has flaps. So everything is done for you. All you got to do is just plug it in and you're good to go. The color that you see here is actually painted onto the foam, so no stickers on the wings or on the main body of the plane. Well, actually there's a couple you got to put on there, but all the red and white is already all done for you, so there's no chance of this peeling off. Hopefully it won't fade either, so we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be fine. The main fuselage, I'll show you here, give you a bit of an up close look. This one is not made out of foam, it's actually made out of a durable plastic, and it has a kind of a hard plastic up the front here for your cowling that sort of goes around the motor. And the motor is actually on an aluminium motor mount, which is then bolted onto some balsa wood inside the actual fuselage itself. You can see that it actually has a little bit of a pilot character in here to add a little bit of a scale look. And there's even some decals on the cockpit there, which is great. And then looking at from the top here, you can see some foam seats. The two servos that you see pre-mounted in here, one will be for my my elevator, and the other one will be for the rudder. And there's a little bit of a back seat. You can see the cables coming up through the top of the fuselage. These are obviously for your servos and the ESC, and then of course the ailerons will mount up through the top here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this. I want to try and see if I can get the receiver tucked in underneath this kind of cockpit display. The only problem is that there's no access hatch on the back of the plane here. The only access hatch underneath is this one, which is for your battery, and it just clips off very easily like that. And you can see here they've got a couple of Velcro straps where you mount your battery. Now this plane runs on a 2200 milliamp 3-cell, which is pretty common for a lot of planes, and you can see that it already has an ESC mounted in there. The motor itself says Volantex, and it is a 4023 1050 kV brushless outrunner. So hopefully this guy will provide plenty of power. I've been told that Decathlon's tend to be very acrobatic in the air, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this guy performs. My Cub was actually pretty decent in the air as far as acrobatics go, but this one apparently is a little bit better, so we'll see how we go with it. I'm not quite sure how this is going to fly, but I've been told it's really good, so I'm looking forward to it. Alright, so as I said, there's no access hatch back here. What I want to try and do is maybe mount the receiver next to the battery. There's a bit of a spot here, a bit of an empty spot just on that balsa wood there. But because I also have to mount my ailerons and flaps, and the cables have to go through the main cockpit, I don't know how I'm going to go with it. Maybe I'll mount my receiver kind of on the back seat of the driver. Might be there. I want to try and keep the cables as far away from my servos as possible, because I don't want cables kind of, you know, getting jammed up with the servo horns or anything like that. I'll see what I can do. It's probably going to be a little bit fiddly, but we'll see. And of course, I can't put my hand inside the actual fuselage. Hence the reason why I kind of wanted a little bit of an access hatch back here. But it may be something that wouldn't even help. Like I said, until I put it together, I won't know exactly what I can do and what I can't do with it. There's the cover there. Looking at some of the other parts that you get in the box, of course you do get your manual. This is of course important. I mean, I've had a lot of RCs, but they're all land RCs, and they all seem to be very common. It's only just certain components that change from RC to RC, but a lot of the stuff becomes very familiar to you. Planes are a little bit the same, but I still feel that there's a lot of differences between them, because there are so many different models, so many different makes. There's always something that's different from one plane to the other, even though you've been doing it for a while. So for me, I'm going to be reading through this manual quite thoroughly and just make sure that I, you know, dot on my I's and cross on my T's, so that, you know, things don't go wrong in midair. Because if something goes wrong with an RC, land RC, well, you know, it might stop, or you might, you know, hit a curb or something like that, and it'll be okay for most part. A plane, on the other hand, something goes wrong mid-flight and it's up in the air. There's only one way to get it, and that's straight down into the ground. And that's not a good feeling, because generally they don't walk away from that very well. This is the rear wheel that I'll be mounting to my rudder, and of course it has a little bit of a plastic piece here which it kind of secures everything in place. You get a bit of a bag full of hardware. There's screws in here, there's connections for your servos, there's an Allen key, there's a screwdriver, servo horns, a bunch of screws, all your what do we got? We got a forget now, prop mount, and there's also, I can see some nitro tubing in there, some nitro fuel tubing I should say, just cut up in little bits. This is to sort of go around your clevises so they don't open up, and I'll show you how they work perhaps later on. And yeah, so everything is in here to assemble this plane, which is great. The wheels, these are the main wheels that go on the front, and they come already pre-installed with these wheel pants. That's what these are called. All right, they go around the wheel. The wheel is actually quite big, so I'm not too concerned about this one getting caught up in grass where I fly, because I fly in a kind of an open field and there's no actual runway. It's just kind of grass. Something that I had to take into account after owning the Cessna. The Cessna had wheels as well with wheel pants, but the wheels were actually quite small. And what would happen is every time I wanted to take off or land, the wheels would get caught up in the grass. So I could only really fly that plane if the grass was really, really short, or if, of course, I had a paved runway. So something that I've kind of mentally had to think about now when I'm looking at my next plane purchase. How do I launch it? How do I land it? Because of the area that I fly in. So perhaps just a little tip there for you guys if you're trying to decide what your next plane is going to be, or what your first plane is going to be. You know, how you going to land it, or where you're going to land it. The rest here is just some wing supports for the main wings, the aluminium or metal landing gear which will house the wheels, the propeller, which is I think 305mm long, which is huge, and of course you have an aluminium spar in here as well that will connect the two main wings on the fuselage. So that is pretty much all the bits that you get for the plane. Now, in addition to buying the plane, I also got this radio. This is a new radio that I picked up from Hobby King as well. It is the Turnigy TGY-i6. TGY-i6. Now this is a 6-channel, 6-model memory, kind of computerized radio, and the reason why I got this guy is because I wanted something that was perhaps a little bit simpler than the FlySky FS-i10 that I have. Still with model memory and still be able to program it and sort of maybe do some channel mixing and do a few different options with it. So hopefully this radio will give me what I need. It has a trainer port, runs on 4 AA's, although the batteries are not included. It has a stubby little antenna that you see here. I'll give you a bit of a close-up look at it, and I'll even turn it off because I do have some batteries in there at the moment. So that's what it looks like. It has a little bit of a backlit display. It's quite nice. It feels a little smaller than some of my other radios. I'll give you an example here. I have this Turnigy one, and I'll give you a bit of a look comparison in size. So you can see that this new one is actually a little bit smaller, and it's also a lot thinner as well. So it's actually about the same thickness as my FlySky remote. And yeah, I'm just gonna try this guy out. Hopefully it'll work okay. And I have all the mixing and everything that I need to do to fly this plane, as well as some of the others that I'm hoping to get in the future. So I think that is pretty much where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to start putting this guy together, and I'll sort of fill you in on some of the stages that I'm going to be doing, and yeah, hopefully it won't take me too long to get it up in the air. So stay tuned, and yeah, we'll start putting this guy together. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one of the steps that I'm up to. First off, I'll show you exactly where I'm up to. I've just mounted the rear wing on the plane, as well as the rudder. The steerable wheel is there as well, so that's all good to go. I'll pop this guy aside very briefly, and I'll show you that I'm up to, you know, the main wing. They tell you to kind of connect it all up. Now, the one thing that I noticed on the manual that's not in here, and I figured I'd show you this bit, they tell you to put the spar in through the middle. There's actually some square aluminium spars, I think they're aluminium, inside both wheels. So you can see these little vents here that go along the wing. There's actually a spar that runs all the way through to stiffen up the wing, and then this shorter guy kind of goes in here and just connects them both up at the same time, like so. Now I've put, I don't know if you can tell, you can see I've put a little bit of sticky tape here because I didn't want these cables to sort of come off the wing, and this will actually be mounted inside the cockpit, so I didn't want them falling out. What they don't tell you in the instructions is if you have a look here, hopefully you guys can make this out. So you go from here, you put the spar in that you can see there, and I'll bring this up nice and close. So you put your spar in, you connect up your wings, and then they tell you to mount it straight onto the aeroplane. What they don't tell you in this page is that you need to connect these Y harnesses to your servos, because once this is inside the cockpit, there's no way that you can actually connect them up. So just keep that in mind. It says here there's a couple of stickers. One will say channel 5, so you need to connect those to your channel 5, which will be your flaps, and the other one will say channel 1. These should be your ailerons. So you connect those up, and now you can actually mount this into the plane and on top of the fuselage, and yeah, you should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and move on to the next stage. Alright guys, now very quickly I'm going to show you something that's not in the instruction booklet as well, but it's something that I like to do, and that's to center out my servos. So you can see here I've actually plugged in my receiver temporarily. I've got my remote, which I turned on just before, and centered out the servos because I have to mount servo horns on here. And what I don't like to do is obviously mount the servo horn thinking that it's straight, plug the plane in, all of a sudden the servo horn goes off to one side or the other. So if you power it up just briefly, make sure that all your trims and everything is down to center. Then when you mount your servo, you know that it's going to be pretty much dead on, and only very minor adjustment will be needed to make sure everything is done right. Just a little tip, something that I do with my land RCs as well when I'm installing a steering servo, and something that I do on these planes as well. So let's move on to the next stage. Okay guys, I'm going to very quickly show you where I'm up to with the plane. It is taking me a lot longer than I anticipated to put this guy together, purely because I'm being quite pedantic about how the wires look inside the fuselage through these windows. Originally I had kind of all the wires connected up in here, and it was just a big bundled up mess of wires that was going to require about 3 kilos of zip ties to tidy it all up. I didn't like that idea, so I decided to do something a little different. What I've done here is, as I lift up the wing, is you still got some zip ties there kind of tidying everything up, but as you look down where the wires lead to, if I can get this to show up on camera, you see the cables kind of run along the below the window line, and they kind of run down in through the front, and they connect up to my receiver that's in there. So it's all nice and neat and tucked away. It's not interfering with anything, and I really only have just a very minute amount of cabling that shows through on the windows this way, and it's not interfering with my servos that are exposed over there, so there's no very little potential of them getting caught up in those wires. And my pilot, of course, doesn't have a bunch of cables going over the top of him as it was done originally. So that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to sort of complete this project. I mean, you guys don't know this because through the magic of editing, I'm fast forwarding everything, but it's taking me a couple of hours so far, perhaps even a bit longer than that. I've also adjusted all my control surfaces as well. Also had a bit of a play around with the remote, trying to get used to the menus and how everything was done. So that took me a while to figure out. So this is why it's taking me a bit longer than usual. Bolting on all the parts is very easy. That doesn't require too much skill and much less time, but it's trying to figure out how you're going to connect all of these things up. That's why it's taking me a little bit longer. You can see I've already got the landing gear on. Now I just got to bolt the wings onto the fuselage. I also need to install the supports, mount the propeller, and sticker it up, and we should be good to go. So I should come back now with the finished product. Okay guys, I've had to stop again because I wanted to show you something that's not illustrated in the instructions, and I figured this might help some people out as well. As you can see here, I've had to mount my prop mount on the motor. Now, in order to do this, you actually need to take out 3 screws and take this cowling off from the front, and you can see how the motor is mounted on there. This is how it looks. Now, this prop mount actually goes onto the motor very much like a pinion gear on an RC car. So you have a little grub screw, there's a flat spot on the shaft, and you need to put that guy on. I did find that I had to sand back the shaft a little bit and sort of clean up the inside of the prop mount because it wasn't going in properly. Like, it would only go about halfway and get stuck. So a little bit of sanding, a little bit of cleaning, and it went in just fine. Make sure you put a little bit of Loctite on that grub screw, and once this guy is in place, you can then put your cowling back on and move on to the next stage. So I'm almost finished now. You can see that I've already got my wing supports done. My wings are mounted on now, everything's done. It's just a matter of finishing the prop, putting the stickers on, and we'll come back with the finished product this time, I promise. Alright guys, that's it. The plane is finally finished. I'll give you a bit of a close-up look at it. I have to say I'm absolutely in love with this thing. It looks fantastic. I like how it all went together. It's just a shame that some of the instructions on the manual were a little bit vague about how to do certain things, such as mounting the prop on. Connecting your receiver was also something that I had to work out on my own, and as I said, I connected it here next to the battery, which means I have a little bit of access to it. I can get to it without actually removing the wings. I really only need to remove the wings if I'm doing any major maintenance with the servo wires or anything like that. All the wing stabilizers and everything went on very easy. The instructions kind of take you through that. That's not a problem at all. The wheels, landing gear, all very straightforward as well. There's really nothing complicated about it. My radio is beeping because I've got the plane plugged in. I'm going to show you all the control surfaces working very, very soon. The stickers were also very easy to put on. Don't have any issues with these stickers, unlike the Train Star Exchange where the stickers were quite thin and they kind of curled on themselves. These were a lot better. They stayed straight. They stick on very nicely. I don't have an issue with these stickers at all. I think there's only like 4 to put on, which are the sort of the lettering on the back, the black stripe, and there's a couple of little stripy things on the wheel pants. That's really all it is. I did put a couple of my own stickers on here as well, just to personalize the aircraft to my liking. The little nitro fuel tubing that they supply, I did say that they give you some of that for these little clevises here, and I'm hoping maybe you guys can see that up close. Can you see the little tubing just there, if the camera would focus for us? So this here, they only give you 4 of these, but there are 6 clevises to clip, right? So you've got 2 ailerons, you've got 2 servos for the flaps, and of course you've got your elevator and your rudder. What I've done, because I've only got 4 of them, they only gave me 4, I've put them on all my ailerons, my elevator and my rudder, and I left the flaps without any of that, because the flaps are really designed for when you're coming into land, just to slow the plane right down. You're not really putting a lot of force on these clevises, so I think they can do without. I mean, if you really want to, you're going to have to source your own nitro fuel tubing, or I've seen some people actually use a shrink tubing as well, so you can slide a little bit of shrink tubing over the top, heat it up, and that will stop it from opening up. So everything else, I have to say, the plane went together fairly well. I mean, it's just the smaller things that take a bit of time, but that's really about it. The only complaint I will say that I have about the stickers are these ones here. They're not white enough. I can see the red kind of coming through. Would have liked a slightly heavier white just to make it stand out a little bit more against the red of the plane. But other than that, that's only a minor thing. It's not a big deal. Alright, so whilst I wrestle the plane here and put it into position, I'll just very quickly show you the control surfaces. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Let's see. Alright, we have ailerons, so they work no problem, and they seem to be pretty fast too, so the servos in this should be actually pretty good. We have my rudder just down here, and of course we have elevator, so no problems there, everything seems to be okay. And now for the flaps, I have this set up on this switch right here, which is a 2-stage switch. You can have it on these little knobs. I did originally have them set up on these knobs, but I found that they're a bit hard to reach. If you're coming into land, you kind of gotta let go of something to twist these knobs and make them work. So you can program all that through the radio. So I've only just sort of done it on the switch here because it's a lot easier to just, you know, get a finger up there and flick it. So it has 2 stages. Hopefully you guys can see that it has 2 stages. All right, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Nothing much to it. And then of course, you know, you have my throttle. Almost took off on me. It seems to be a fairly powerful motor. The prop is obviously very big. It's 305mm long, so quite a big prop. I'm assuming that this guy is actually going to have plenty of power up in the air. Hopefully it does, and performs, as a lot of people have told me, that it seems to be quite acrobatic. So very much looking forward to it. I'm just waiting for a nice day for the weather to clear up, and yeah, I'll take it out for its maiden flight, show you some flight footage, and hopefully land it back down to earth safely. But that is it for me, guys. Please don't forget to check out the video description for links on the plane, as well as a link to my Facebook page. I'll have a link for the radio as well if you want to check that out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you guys next time.